It's December 7th. I'm Geoff Schwartz. This is Geoff Schwartz. Is Smarty. We're live on Twitter and on YouTube, and we're on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Thank you for joining us on our NFL preview show for Week 14 of the National Football League. And we're brought to you by the Vaulted app. It's the home of my season-long game, giving out $14,000 in cash prizes in the pools, with $5,000 allocated to the final pool of the season, which will be the day of the big game. That's Vaulted, spelled VLTED. It's a place you can store your sports predictions, participate in cash prize pools without any entry fees, and prove you are smarter than your friends and myself by using the Vaulted Challenge feature. As you guys know by now, each week we have a pool for you to enter. It is 20 questions. It is free to enter, and cash prizes. Shall you finish first, second, or third? If you beat me in a given week, you will be entered into the big game pool. Go find me on the app. Pool Geoff with a G, Geoff. That's Vaulted, VLTED. It's free to join. Free cash prizes. It's a ton of fun to do each and every week. Matthew, we were 4-1 this past week in our 5 wagers we give out every single week. We will store those wagers in the Vaulted app as well. We are 38-23-4, which is a good season. It's a good year so far.
We're crushing it, man. We had sort of like a little dip that coincided with me paying way less attention to football. Then, we passed the 1 month mark with my son. Yep, brand new baby. He's 5 weeks and change now. So, I started watching the games a little bit closer, and here we are. The process is back. Here we go, 4-1. And by the way, we should have been 5-0. The freak injury to a Titans punter, that screwed us last week. If they had been able to convert an extra point, we'd be looking at 5-0. So. Nice week for us, and hopefully it's a stinky week this week, but I think we can make some lemonade out of these lemons.
It's not the greatest week, and we're recording on Thursday instead of Friday this week because of my schedule, and so there is a Thursday night game tonight between the Steelers and Patriots, which might be one of those games where like there are certain times of the year when it's just best to be like, you know what, honey, I'm going to hang out with you tonight. Okay, I'm going to forego the football game. This is one of those nights, right, where you just say, you know what, no football tonight, and just hang out with your significant other and just give them the satisfaction of missing a football game to hang out with you.
Yeah, and they will probably assume Steelers, Patriots, these are 2 marquee franchises. What an act of selflessness. Do you know the total for this game?
Yeah, it's 30, right?
30. This is like an Iowa football game, man. This is crazy that we're looking at a 30-point total on a Thursday night. I was going to make the joke that this is why you rescheduled the podcast, because we had to bet this game. We had to take Bailey Zappi getting 6 points. No, thank you.
I'm in New York, so I get to actually wager on the apps. I did a under 7.5 points for the Patriots, parlay with a Zappi under 155. Passing yards, plus 3 something. What do you think, Matt?
How do you feel saying all that there's a bet out there that you placed with those results attached? That's a part of your life story now.
I bet on a team who has lost 3 straight games, only allowing 10 points or less. A real football game happened where they lost 6-0 last week. So we're not going to play this game. If you are, God bless. It is maybe a survivor leg for you in a survivor pool, by the way. Steelers might get you home and not a great survivor week. All right, buddy, let's get to the real football of the week. Again, a lot of backup quarterbacks, a lot of ugly numbers. What do we got first?
Yeah, let's start with Lions Bears. That is one of the early games on Sunday. The current line is 3.5 for the Lions as a road favorite. No one's still very eager to bet the Bears. This is an interesting one to start with because I actually have a feeling here. I'm curious if you have a lean on this one.
Yeah, Bears plus 3.5, right? This is the time to do it. Look, it has to be. Think about this. So the Lions we've seen this year, their defense, man, is just not trustworthy. It is. They allow way too many points in a lot of teams. They were up 21-0 against New Orleans last week, and if not for a 4th down conversion, the Saints get the ball back. with a chance to win that game, and they had opportunities at other times too in the fourth quarter to win that game. Look at what the Lions did against the Bears, 3 weeks ago, right? They were losing the fourth quarter in that game. They lost the Packers. They're not playing as well. The Lions are off. I mean, the Bears are off a bye, which is, their coaching staff is not one where I'm like, oh my God, they're off a bye. I got to bet them. But Justin Fields is dynamic. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback, but he makes enough plays with his legs, Matt. He does enough to make games interesting. Also, too, there's a Jared Goff outside in cold weather situation here, where in his career historically has been really bad. That Packers game last year sort of broke like a losing streak in the cold weather for him. It's going to be windy and cold and miserable in Chicago in December. We get 3.5, which is still available. I like Bears 3.5.
Yep, I love it too. I'm glad this was on your radar. The half point, really nice timing for us getting that because it looks like the Lions are not getting a ton of public bets or professional bets. So interesting. I guess I'm curious about that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Goff outdoors thing. The other thing is like the Lions. I think the market hasn't really corrected on the Lions yet. They've looked like a really different team in the last couple of weeks, whether it's just some injuries or just, people have sort of figured out what they're doing scheme wise. But generally, like a team that starts really hot does tend to correct at this point in the year. I was just reading a great stat that as the year goes on, I'm trying to find, I just lost this. Basically, if a team starts really hot, teams with a 70+% win percentage in December or later are 45% covering in the last 20 years. So basically what that means is they start really hot, they cover all their games, they're this public darling, and then they let you down at the end of the year. So it's a great spot. The Bears have looked a lot better. I mean, my guy Montez Sweat seems to have really turned their defense around. So,
I know, right? Yeah.
It's really strange. Yeah. So I think the Bears are a good play here. They still have the Panthers pick, so it's not like they're trying to tank. I think this is a home run play here.
I'm in.
All right, man. So
let's do it.
One down. Interesting the way these are ordered because I like this next game also. Carolina going to the Saints. Last week we disagreed on this one, or on the Panthers rather. They ended up covering. Well, they pushed on the final line. I like them again this week, Geoff. I hate to say it. I think I'm back on Carolina again. Are you? Yeah.
No, but go ahead. I mean, I don't like 5 this week. So if you like Carolina, we'll certainly consider it.
I mean, the Saints are just not a good team. That's the main case that I have to make. If Jameis Winston is starting, then we get a chance to. He's the 8th least profitable of 213 quarterbacks in the last 20 years. He's 8-19-1 against the spread. He's terrible as he's better actually as a favorite. But this is a rare opportunity to be getting almost a touchdown betting against Jameis Winston. 5.5 was I think, is that the number now still 5.5? Oh, there's a 5.
5.5. Yeah. There's
we can get a 5.5.
There's 5.5s. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carolina. A few things about them, like it seems like they definitely played a better game last week without Frank Reich.
Yes.
But also they should hopefully be getting J.C. who has been a year for them. Like when he plays, they have a winning record. When he doesn't play, they're absolutely terrible. So that could make a big difference. I just think that these two teams aren't that far apart. And the Saints have just been overinflated this whole year. They're terrible in the red zone. They're terrible. Dennis Allen, week in, week out, lets bettors down. I just think you're getting a good number with Carolina here.
Look, if Jameis Winston, he either will throw the ball to his own team for a touchdown or throw the ball to the other team for a touchdown. Like, we need 1 pick six in this game to cover probably, right? And you're right about, they played a little bit better last week without him, without Frank Reich. And look, they're sort of due for probably a win at some point. I know they have one, but they're probably due for another one soon. And the Saints just aren't good. You know what I mean? It's not good.
Yeah.
Some poor NFC South teams that get boat raced by the Eagles or Cowboys in that week 1 wildcard game.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got next here?
All right. So are we saying maybe to the Panthers?
Yes. They're in the maybes. Because this next game, I'm not going to do it. You're
not going to take Houston laying 3.5 to Zach Wilson's Jets.
Oh, okay. Well, time out. You're going to go for Houston here?
Yeah. I mean, what's the
Okay,
case
good.
for the Jets? Like, what could it possibly be?
Okay, so this is interesting. This game took a ton of sharp action. I don't know why. It was open 4.5 and got hammered down to 3.5 right now. What is the reasoning for this? That Houston on the road against this defense maybe struggles a little bit, but are we saying Zach Wilson sort of plays better than Tim Boyle? I don't know, man. I'm confused by this. I think if this gets to 3, I would smash Houston. 3.5, maybe a little bit less, but yeah, normally the reason I said don't convince me is I thought you were going to make a case for the home dog here and sort
No
of
chance.
ugly it up with some Jets plus 3.5.
No chance, dude. I think the quarterback thing is a huge concern, but also like the Texans have just the Texans are just playing really well, and their defense has gotten better, their pass rush has gotten better, their run game has gotten better. Like Damian Pierce was revived last week, and the Jets, like, what is the Jets' offense now? Like, aside
Oh,
from
that's terrible.
the occasional nice play from Brees Hall or maybe Garrett Wilson, like this is kind of a dead team. The worry I think is that the Texans are flying a little bit too high. You don't like to take teams that are on a bit of a tear. We could be sort of buying them a little bit too late. I don't feel super strongly about this one, but I do feel like I don't know. I do feel like this could be just one of those like, wait, the Jets are 3.5 point dogs to a playoff team. Like, what are we talking about? That's my feeling here.
Yeah, to me this is it's Texans are, but I Texans right here, but I think you just can't wager on the Jets. Like this is a good spot to say, you know what, we're going to fade the Jets in this situation. Let's take the Texans.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I don't know. I would consider it if we can't find 5. And I promise I don't like every game, but the way these are stacked is like I do have opinions on these first few.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like a lot. To be honest with you, there's not a lot I like this week, so I need suggestions for games to like. So it's good to be in this spot where we have a couple that we like early.
Perfect. All right, so light maybe for the Texans. I don't think we're going to end up with that, but it's a maybe. Colts at Bengals. The Jake Browning reviews are in, and they're positive. I don't want to bring up a Washington player, but I did anyway. The Bengals are home dogs in a few spots. This line, you can kind of get whichever direction you want.
They're favored by 1 now. I just stay away from me, man. Look, to me, this is a stay away because you don't. If you expect this from Jake Browning again, you might as well make his Hall of Fame bust, right? Like he's just not going to do this again. And the Colts, they're feisty, man. Like they came back in Houston this past week. We talked about they should have lost that game probably with the punter didn't get hurt. They blocked 2 punts. I mean, they're like a feisty team. They're fighting for a playoff berth. I am not of the opinion that like Jake Brown's going to have this back-to-back game. Bengals defense 27th in DVOA, so there's some issues there on the defense. I just would stay away from this game. I think you like the Bengals, I would imagine, but I don't expect Jake Brown to do this again.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense to fade Gardner Minshew for playing over his skis and then say like, let's take Jake Browning also. I don't know. The Colts as these road favorites. Like I just think the Colts. I just feel like they're a little overinflated. But the Bengals, betting on a backup quarterback the week after he had a nationally televised really nice win, feels a little bit foolish. So again, if we need a 5th, the Bengals maybe. But I don't know. This one doesn't feel like there's a great advantage on either side.
No, I don't think so either.
All right. How about this one, Geoff? Cleveland is hosting Jacksonville, and the man formerly known to some as CJ Beathard, CJ Beathard. The Browns are laying 3 to Jacksonville. Any interest in Cleveland here?
Yeah, I do like Cleveland here.
Okay, great.
Even if Trevor Lawrence plays, you're going to get a hobbled Trevor Lawrence against the Browns pass rush with an offensive line that's shaky. Okay, sign me up.
Yep.
Yep. And I think the only thing here is like the Flacco, the end of the Rams game where it kind of got haywire. But before that, Flacco looked good. Like good's a strong word, but he looked very competent. They moved the football in offense. They had a real offense, what looked like a real offense. Jacksonville just allowed 30 points to Jake Browning. He was 32 of 37. What are we doing? Jacksonville this year has been so up and down at times, such high variance. We know what we're getting with the Browns. Like I feel that we know what we're getting. The only issue is, Stefanski's a favorite. We know sucks. But otherwise, it's like a fate of Jacksonville right now with a bum quarterback and the Browns defense betting on them.
Yep, I agree. I think this is a really good spot. We talked about the weather in the Chicago game. The Cleveland weather, Sunday, rain, 16-mile-an-hour winds in the 40s. This is not going to be a game that favors Jacksonville. This is a classic game for this Cleveland team. It's built to win games like this.
Yep.
In the trenches, pass rush, run D. They're getting some guys back. Denzel Ward should be back, which is huge for them. So I think Cleveland, you're getting, everyone's kind of off of them, and rightfully, because they've looked, terrible the last couple weeks. But I don't know. I think that this is the kind of game that they win. If Trevor Lawrence is playing again, like, I don't feel great about it, but like, Jacksonville's not like a power running team that's going to, just hammer Cleveland and win this game like 13-10. Like, I just don't see it. So this game's probably going to close at around 30 for the over under also. Right now, I think, 30.5, 31.5. So under's probably still the play there if you're looking at that. But yeah, I just think Cleveland is a really smart play here to bet on this defense having a bounce back game.
I'm with you. Let's move on. We have the Browns in there.
Ugly ones. We're very locked in this 1 o'clock slot. 2 games left in the early window here. The Rams are going to Baltimore. Baltimore off a bye. They are laying 7.5 everywhere. This line has not budged all week. Do you have a feel for this one?
No. The Ravens have dominated teams at home this year, like Seattle, the Lions. I mean, I would lean Ravens here, Matt, but like not strong enough to make a case for anything. Puka Nacua, a little beat up for the Rams. They're on the road. They're outside. It's just, to me, just to stay away.
Yeah, I'd probably be on the Rams. By the way, they're getting 27% of the bets and 71% of the money. This is the Ultimate Pros Joe's game this week. The hook is a little bit tasty, but Baltimore's really good, and they could run away with it, but they tend to not. I don't know. I feel like they're one of those teams that like can get up and then they kind of do stupid stuff in the fourth quarter. Where the Rams just keep punching. Like they seem to just cover, or like that Kyron Williams touchdown last week where they ended up scoring where they didn't really need to. Like they just seem to just always be all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like with over a touchdown. But I don't know. I mean, the Ravens off a bye at home is never really a good time to bet against them.
Correct.
But I just feel like the Rams are. I just think the Rams are just solid, and they're just gonna play everyone decently. But there's a huge talent gap here, so I'm fine passing this one if you're on Baltimore.
Yeah, we could pass this one. I don't like it.
Great. Speaking of passes, Geoff, the Bucks at the Falcons. Do you want to play a little Russian roulette and take a side in this one?
No. Let's save our listeners some airtime, some much needed break from discussing 2 teams we could care less about. Unless you have a play. Do you like something here?
No, of course not. The Falcons are laying 1.5, and they're getting all the money, and Tampa's getting the majority of the bets. I just don't know how you trust either of these teams. No thanks. All right.
Hard pass.
To the late window on Sunday, let's start with Seattle at the 49ers. The 49ers are laying 10.5. Do you have an opinion here?
So Chris Felica, who I do the Bear Bets podcast with, is super on the Niners this week. I'm not. I get why you'd be on them. Seattle, we've talked about them many times this year. We've been for and against them. Sometimes just they're inconsistent play and whatnot. But isn't this number too big? Or just the Niners going to steamroll a division rival in Seattle like this? I don't want to take Seattle, Matt. I really don't. But I feel like the Niners, it's a big number for a divisional game. Seahawks aren't terrible. They're not terrible. The Niners are playing well. They're off a national TV win. Is there a little bit of an emotional letdown for them? I can see Seahawks first half being a good wager here. But I don't have a great take for the whole game, the full game wager. Do you?
I really like Seattle here. I like them a lot and would like to make the case for them. I think the first case is these two teams played 3 weeks ago on Thanksgiving. The 49ers blew them out in Seattle. That's what everyone has in mind. The 49ers also are coming off of a massive statement win where off of essentially they have a rest disadvantage, right? Because the Seahawks played against Dallas last Thursday. Now San Francisco flies back across the country. Seattle is coming off of like a tough loss, and they've lost 3 in a row actually. And I think I don't know if I have this exactly correct. Chris Raybon mentioned this on his podcast. Pete Carroll on a multi-loss streak like this is 21-5 against the spread. He's one of these guys that as an underdog, you just want to take in general, but especially when they're getting overinflated like this. Divisional teams that play each other, the second game kind of always tends to be close, right? The 49ers, it just feels like they kind of had their Super Bowl last week. Like, do they need to come and beat the Seahawks by a million? Like, probably not. Kenneth Walker should be back too, which is unless something changed today. When everybody liked Charbonnet this year, but when Walker does play, it seems like their offense is just a bit better. I don't know. I just think this is a really good chance to take a really good coach in sort of a must-win spot. I mean, Seattle, they started out pretty well, and now they're 6-6. This playoff picture is getting a little bit crowded. I'm not saying they're going to win this game, but they kind of have to show up for it, and they have a few extra days of rest against a team that is everyone's consensus best team in the league now. So I think it's a pretty good play. We might lose by 10, but that would be a winner.
Yeah, the idea of sort of fading the Niners off this emotional win is certainly in play here with Seattle needing to win with 10 days rest. I mean, it's a good situational spot for Seattle, put it like that. And to your point, it might be gross. We might not like it 10, 15 minutes in, but they're divisional opponents, man. They know each other well. To think the Niners are going to blow them out, I feel like, is very heavy.
Yeah. It takes some stones. And I'm actually seeing a +11. We'll take the extra half point, but the Seahawks are getting 76% of the money, but only 43% of the tickets. So if you're public, if you're Joe Public, you're taking the 49ers, you're putting them in your money line, you're putting them in your teaser, you're putting them in all your parlays. So those are the kind of spots where you like Seattle.
So there is someone that I fade in the internet when they post plays, and you know who it is. And this person mushes every favorite each week. They put them in a money line parlay each week. The Niners are going to be in the money line parlay, and 100%. It's going to be mushed. It's going to be mushed. I'm telling you right now. The Chiefs were mushed last week. The Bills the week before that. It's a giant mush. So worth noting. All right, let's get to the next game. If you have one word about this game, Matt, I'm disowning you.
Let's see what this game is. I was looking to see if that person made a pick yet. This is Vikings Raiders. No. I do not have a word about this game. The Vikings are 3-point road favorites to Aiden O'Connell. My God, some of these QB matchups this week are just unspeakable.
They're so bad.
Hard pass.
No, hard pass. All right, let's talk about the next game because I'm curious if we're going to deviate from our usual in this situation.
Wow. I would be very curious. I didn't even prep for this because I just figured this was an auto play. This is Buffalo going to Kansas City. Kansas City is laying 1.5. Buffalo playing for their lives. They are getting the tickets are about split, but 70% of the money is on Kansas City. I think everyone just sees that stat with Patrick Mahomes as a short favorite, as a home favorite after a loss. Like all of the trends would say to take the Chiefs. But Buffalo has looked pretty good too. It seems you're a little hesitant to take Kansas City here. What's your
how many weeks can I keep saying how many weeks can we do have to keep saying the offense is going to figure it out? No, the Chiefs probably don't lose 3 games in a row. So I would imagine that this to me is, and I said this in my Bear Bets podcast. I like Mahomes over rushing this week. It was 26.5 on FanDuel. I mean on DraftKings, I should say, because Like this is to me, this is the Chiefs have to win this game. You know what I mean? Like they've lost 2 in a row now, if I'm correct on that, right? 2 in a row. And it's a game where if you don't win this game, you're now 8-5. The 1 seed is completely gone. And the schedule in the back half, the last 5 weeks, 4 weeks after this is pretty easy. You get a bunch of wins. Like this is a game where I think you sort of have to win this game if you're Kansas City. Now Buffalo does too. If they don't win this game, they're out of the playoffs completely. But if the Chiefs just quote unquote click, right? They click on offense, Matt, they're going to be good again. The problem is they haven't done this yet through 13 weeks. So is this the week against a Bills defense that has not been very good because of the injuries? I don't know, but I mean, 1 point, Matt, it's such a low number for Kansas City.
I know. And it's funny. You said the Chiefs lost 2 straight. And I was like, yeah, they've lost 2 straight. They did beat the Raiders in there. And this time last week, everyone was saying, hey, Chiefs figured it out. We got to lay the 6 against Green Bay. I think Green Bay's good. I think that was just sort of a bad game for Kansas City. I'm fine taking the Chiefs here. The concern is just like, this is like the biggest game in Bills like ever. Like this is like as big as the playoff game, the 13 seconds game, right? This is who the Bills have always sort of looked up to as their big brother that they need to take down. They need this game more than the Chiefs do. Like the Chiefs are going to win their division. They've known they were going to win their division since like week 2. The Bills need to get into the playoffs, obviously, in games like this. The Chiefs also, like, this is kind of it. You look at their schedule, it's like at Patriots, they get the Raiders again, they get the Bengals without Burrow, and then they go at the Chargers in a game that'll be meaningless. Like, this is kind of their last test for the year. At home,
right?
It's like, how do we not, if with all we've done with Mahomes in his career, how do we not take him in this spot? 31-3 straight up in November and December in his last 34. This is when he's just as good as this is when you take Mahomes. So
I'm with you.
I don't know.
I'm with you.
Especially the fact that the public's off of them makes me feel even better about it.
I put them in the maybes for now.
No, interesting.
And I think it's a strong maybe. All right, what do we got next year? I can't imagine you have any thoughts on this one, but we'll find out.
I mean, I just want to talk about this game regardless. The Eagles are at Dallas, 3.5 points.
Oh, you missed
for the Cowboys.
We got.
Sorry.
You do that game first.
Broncos, Chargers.
Broncos.
Chargers.
See? Okay, thank you. Go to Eagles, Cowboys. Let's go. Just move the graphic along.
Can I just briefly make fun of Justin Herbert? Like, everyone gives him the credit for, it's like, oh, well, look at how many times his defense has screwed him in all these losses. He didn't even score a fucking touchdown against the Patriots. Like, this guy is he drives me crazy. Like, this is not a top 5 quarterback. I get he has the ability, but like, Matt scored a touchdown.
Matt, I mean, you catch the ball better than Quinn Johnson does. Like
who cares?
It's a huge. Who cares? I mean, you drop 2 long passes in a game that stunts your offense. I'm just going to bring that up to you. It's not great. But yes, he probably does not get as much blame as he should for some of the losses. But wait till he gets like Harbaugh next year and explodes. Like it's coming with a better coach, I feel like.
Yeah, sure. We'll just wait. Well, maybe in like year 10 of his career, he'll start to win some big games. But, great job by him putting up 6 points in New England. Well done. Sam Howell put up 400 yards against that defense.
They covered.
Yeah, they covered. Thanks to that defense. Brandon Staley's much maligned defense. I don't know why I get so hot about Herbert, but it's like, just what are we doing? Like, this guy, everyone's giving this guy his flowers. He's won shit. All right, let's talk about 2 teams one team that's won some stuff, other team that's trying to win some stuff. The Eagles are after this loss are getting 3.5 points in Dallas. All I want to do is take Philly, but like, it is a little bit scary, right?
Yeah, it is. Here's my case against Philly and why I think it's a stay away for now. I mean, unless you love Philly as one of your picks.
No.
This is a very oddly difficult NFL stretch for a team. Like, even when you think to yourself, like, you have this 5-game stretch where it's really going to be hard, there's always like an injury in a quarterback that makes it easier, right? Or there's like something that happens. Not the Eagles, man. They went, Kansas City, a tight physical win, overtime Buffalo, They won that game. Then they played the Niners, who treated that game like it was their Super Bowl, and the Eagles got smashed down the stretch. And look, they were up 6-0, looked fresh, and eventually just died out as we figured. Now you're on the road at Dallas, where you're inside, you're in the Cowboys element, and the Cowboys, again, very untrustworthy organization, but they need this win, right? No wins against a team who has won a game this season. No wins against a team with a winning record this season. They've blown out, Matt, all the bad teams they played. And for the second game in a row, the Eagles are playing a team on 10 days rest. Happened last week, happened this week. And I'm not taking the Cowboys. Absolutely not. But the Eagles, to me, would typically be the wager if they just didn't have this gauntlet of a stretch of games where they look just physically and emotionally drained. It's hard to play up each week like this and know that you're getting the best shot from someone else in the game the Cowboys desperately have to win. Otherwise, they're not winning the East. Dak's not the MVP, and no one believes in them for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I sometimes, you look at these trends, you look at everything, and then sometimes you just take a step back. You think to yourself, Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott getting MVP talk, and then there's the Eagles. There's Jalen Hurts, who's probably winning the MVP if they win this game, right? Like, no one's really talking about that. It's him. Like, Brock Purdy's not winning the MVP. Like, that's just not happening. He's one of the betting favorites. It's him and Dak. Like, when have the Cowboys ever done in this kind of spot? Ever. Like, how long have you been watching football? Since 1995. They haven't delivered in. So the 3.5 is just like, to me, what happens if the 49ers win by 3 last week, right? And by the way, like, Jalen was clearly not right, and that game got out of hand. So I just think that Philly, if this game were a week ago, Philly might be favored, like, honestly. And
I'm with you there, yeah.
Philly's weakness is going to be their secondary. They're banged up everywhere. Jalen's banged. If Jalen is that banged up that they deserve to be 3.5-point dogs, that's really concerning for the long term, because, like what David Carr said this week, like, they should have just pulled him and just consider the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know how hurt he is. If that's really like the take going around, then he's probably right. But if he's able to play, they can win any game against anyone. And I just think, like,
I'm with you on the Hurts.
The Cowboys offense has looked really amazing. They've looked really dominant. But I just want to remind everyone, like, who they've looked really dominant against. They did play the Eagles really well. They did lose by 5 in Philly. They put up 41 against Seattle. Awesome. They put up 45 against the Commanders, who just gave up 1,000 points to Miami the next week. They put up 33 against the Panthers. They put up 49 against the Giants. They put up 43 against the Rams. And then, for the Philly game, like, they have not had a game yet where they've made a real statement. And this could be it. And I could just be walking into it. But, like, the Cowboys have not delivered in this spot ever. And when people are saying things like, Mike McCarthy, should he be coach of the year? Should Dak Prescott be the MVP? Like, every single thing in my body is like, fade them, especially against Philly coming off the loss. Having said all of that, this is a really tough one. And there's other games I like. And it's a lot to sort of lay. It feels like a huge game. And sometimes it's fun to just watch them. But if we wanted to put Philly in the mix, I would certainly not be upset.
Oh, I'll put them in the maybes for now. Just to have them in there. But yeah, there's other games I think they're just better spots overall. Can I tell you one MVP take I have is,
please,
in years when it hasn't been a quarterback, all right, Adrian Peterson was 9 yards from the rushing record. I was in Minnesota that year, 2012. Sean Alexander, I believe, had 2,000 yards the year he won, and then I think LaDainian Tomlinson the year he won had the record for touchdowns in a season. So when a non-quarterback wins, Matt, it is an extraordinarily, like, epic season, right? It's a record-breaking season. This feels like Tyreek Hill with 2,000 yards is a live MVP candidate if they're the 1 seed. Like, you can get it now at we have offensive player of the year at plus 2,000. So, of course, like, I'm fine with keeping that as well. Like we're going to cash that one. But is it worth putting a little bit of Tyreek Hill for MVP? It's there's a plus 1600 right now at DK. Like this is the year where it feels like the Brock Purdy thing. Look, I think people will try not to give it to him because whenever you talk about Brock Purdy, we talk about everything else. They have McCaffrey and they got this and that. Like that's most voters don't vote for quarterbacks that you have to talk about qualifiers with them. And Brock Purdy's playing great. It's not an anti-Brock Purdy take, but like they're gonna not try to give it to him. That's my opinion. I get the opinion of like the best story. Like you want to give it to a guy with a great story. Yeah, I get that. I'm looking up the number right now. Are you telling me if the Dolphins end up with the 1 seed and Tyreek Hill has 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, he's not winning the MVP, or doesn't have a chance, I should say, a chance to win the MVP?
I make it on another show. I was like, why am I this? I meant to bring it actually. I think it's 100% the right play. We already talked about Dak. Brock Purdy hasn't thrown for 400 yards in the game yet. Like, can we just be honest about this? He's not going to win the MVP. Even if he deserves all the credit for their success, it goes to Shanahan. It goes to McCaffrey. Like, I think McCaffrey is maybe even a better play on his own team. And usually what happens, I think Jalen Hurts is the one who, as quarterback, could get the MVP and would probably deserve it. And I don't think anyone would really say, like, yeah, that's a bad play. Like he has been the steadying force of that team, and they're the best team in the league, probably, if San Francisco sort of levels off to where they've been. Yeah. But you mentioned it, like if in a world where, there's a couple of quarterbacks that kind of cannibalize the vote, why not go for the best receiving season in history? And the Dolphins, just to add to this point and talk about like maybe the value that we're getting, the Dolphins' schedule from here, there's a couple of like interesting quirks to it. First, they play the Titans, whose secondary, they were bad, and then they traded their best safety. So he could have a really nice nationally televised game on Monday night. Then they play the Jets at home. They play the Cowboys at home. They play the Ravens, and then they play the Bills. They have 4 home games left in the last 5 weeks, and usually what happens to Miami is they fade in the cold, and like they're not good outside, and they just they're one of these like flashy, kind of sexy teams that doesn't know how to sort of play in Buffalo in December. They don't have any of that. They have Baltimore on New Year's Eve, which will be a great game. But there's some real track meet potential in these games. So I think that Hill needs to get to 500 more yards by the end of the season. Yeah. And I think that's very doable. He can get another 150 on Monday. I think it's a smart play, man. I'm way in on it.
I'm trying to find an MVP. They seem to be pulled down today for some reason. Don't know why. But we'll find one, and I'll try to get one by the end of the show, so we actually have one here, and we could say that we, what number we got on it. It's kind of weird. I don't know why it was on earlier today. We talked about this on a different podcast I was on. Well, I'll continue to try to find it. All right, what do we got next? We got some Monday Night Football.
2 Monday night games for whatever reason. The Packers, coming off a big win, are laying 6.5 points to Tommy DeVito and the G-Men. Can't imagine we're taking a side in this one, but I'll leave the floor open to you if you have an opinion.
Look, it's hard to stomach. Obviously,
no.
If we do this, if we just listen to me, just listen.
No,
listen, please, listen. But the Packers are super inflated in this game after that Chiefs win. Giants off a bye. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't like it. We have better things on our plate. But in the past, this is a wager that we have been okay making and sucking it up. I think there's other better wagers. I'd rather put my money on someone else than Tommy DeVito. Like, I'd rather bet Patrick Mahomes than Tommy DeVito. But
Confirmed.
In the past, this has been a wager that we have relied on. Maybe that's why we're doing better this season gambling. Because we're not wagering on this game. But it is a wager we have made in the past. I'm not advocating to do it now, but I certainly think it's a possibility. I see Tyreek Hill at plus 1425. I'm going to make that wager for us, so we can mark that down in our little. I think we have $200 left over to spend. So we're going to put that down for a nice little wager for a podcast. Plus 425 is what I can get. I'm just telling you what I see on an offshore. It wasn't on any of the other apps, so we're going with that. So we'll pass on this one. The next Monday Night Football game, Matt, I don't know why there's two. It's freaking dumb. Titans, Dolphins. Look, I say it every week. The Dolphins kick the shit out of every bad football team. We don't have to play Dolphins minus 13.5. I don't think it's a terrible wager if we don't like anything else this week. But I mean, they're going to win this game the same as they win every game, right? It'd be 42-20, 42-14. The Dolphins defense, by the way, much better since Jalen Ramsey came back. I think they haven't allowed more than 17 points yet. Dolphins minus 13.5 is a play I'm fine with. I don't know if you are, but you know, this might get over 14. Oh, there's a 13, by the way. So there's a 13 here. Maybe this even gets like above, 13.5 at some point, but I'm okay with being a maybe for me.
I mean, I guess it does feel like
we don't have to do it. It's fine.
On paper, clearly, Tua at home.
We can.
The only thing that's concerning here is that the Titans' run defense is legit every year. Vrabel is a dog every year. Oh, Simmons is out?
I think he's out for 2 weeks with a knee injury. Yeah, I think so.
Wow. I did not know that. That actually changes my opinion quite a bit. If he's out, Eric Henry is playing or limited. It's actually a decent play. It's a delay.
I mean, Simmons is out. Simmons is out for multiple weeks, so he's out officially for this. He's out. He's not playing this week.
And their punter is out, famously after last week. This is interesting. I didn't consider this because I was just like, we're not taking Miami, but I didn't know the Simmons thing. Interesting. Let's
think about
go ahead.
Okay, so far here's what we have. The two that we loved, the ones that we were Chicago plus 3.5, Cleveland minus 3. Like those are the two that we're like, yes, we're both in on those. The other ones we have 6 other ones I think that we sort of either one of us liked. Carolina plus 5.5, Houston minus 3.5, Seattle plus 11, Chiefs minus 1.5, Philly plus 3.5, and Miami. I feel like the Chiefs is a yes, right? We both like that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miami. I'm just writing these all down. 13.5. I think we can probably eliminate Houston.
Okay, let's take
Houston is the one I feel the weirdest about for whatever reason.
And Philly, right? We're throwing Philly out.
Philly or Carolina, I think, would be the next one to eliminate, or Miami. But let's put Chicago and Cleveland in bold,
and Kansas City, right?
And Kansas City.
I
think Seattle is probably my favorite this week.
Okay, let's put Seattle in then because we've the new rule in the podcast we did in the middle of last season. Put in Matt's favorites. It's always good. Plus 11 there, so that Seattle's gone. So I mean Philly is I don't want to do Philly.
Let's take it out. It feels a little bit too easy in a weird way.
So we have Carolina and Miami left.
What do you think?
Okay, let me look. Maybe I'm going to the well too often, but let me just pull this up right here. God, Monday Night Football, 2 games. So in the last 6-7 weeks, Dolphins have beaten the Commanders by 30, the Jets by 21, the Raiders by 7. We bet on Dolphins that game. We didn't cover that. Lost to the Chiefs, beat the Patriots by 14, lost the Eagles. We're going reverse order of their schedule. Beat the Panthers by 21 at home, Giants by 15, Broncos by 50. They lost the Bills in that stretch too. They haven't been at home in a couple of weeks. I don't know, man. I mean, the Panthers is probably the sharper side, right? I mean, no sharp person's laying 13.5. So if you're feeling like that's a way to go, fade Jameis Winston. I'm fine with not having to hope that the Dolphins would win another blowout. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the Dolphins, who they play afterwards? They play. They got the Jets afterwards. I thought they had the Cowboys. So they won't. There's no look ahead spot for them. All right, let's do.
It's a Monday night. It's a Monday night. I mean,
you know what?
Carolina was my play.
Here's our tiebreaker. You ready for the tiebreaker? Raybon's on the Panthers. That feels like the tiebreaker. Not to crib someone else, but I mean, like, that feels all the money's on the Dolphins right now. Yeah, we could do Carolina, Matt.
I think so. It's a more disciplined play, but I really would not be shocked. I mean, the narrative thing of Tyreek, couldn't you see it Tuesday morning? Maybe Tyreek Hill is the MVP, guys. Like, he had 230 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Titans last night. Like, we're really going to give it to Brock Purdy? Like, as a guy who makes a lot of shows that do things like that, I am positive that's what's going to happen if he has one of those games. But I think Carolina, I mean, Jameis Winston as a favorite. Carolina's been playing better. I can't believe how okay I am with the Dolphins. Honestly, I feel like without Simmons, the Titans are not as good as Miami at any position, which is kind of shocking. But it is Vrabel, and Vrabel is a huge dog. Maybe we just bet against Dennis Allen and Jameis Winston.
That's fine. I'm good with that. That's fine.
Let's do it. All right, we've got our 5.
Yeah. Okay, so
man,
it's Chicago,
this was a crazy week.
Cleveland, Chiefs, Seattle, Carolina.
Love it. We got good numbers. Seattle plus 11, I really like. Yeah.
Seattle plus 11.
All right, we did it.
We did it. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back with our vaulted pool for the week. We'll talk about some of the plays we like in the vaulted app, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, we're back on the podcast. Go to the Vaulted app. It's VLTED. Look for the pool. Geoff with a G, Geoff. It's free to enter, free cash prizes. There's 20 predictions to make. You can agree or disagree, set a level of confidence between 1 and 10, and join the pool. Make some money, Matt. It's pretty simple. It's a lot of fun to do. We'll go over our favorite pool predictions of the week 14 National Football League. Well, look, if they're going to give us Bears plus 3.5 here, we're going to take it. Lions will cover 3.5 against the Bears. The answer is disagree, and I'm putting 10 on that. I love that right off the bat. Done. Look, they even have the Saints here. They have all the games that we picked already in the pool. Saints will cover 5.5 against the Panthers. The answer is no. Here's the thing, though, Matt. Will the Panthers score more than 16.5 points against the Saints? If we think the Panthers are going to win that game, we have to disagree with that. I mean, we have to agree, right? They're going to score more than 16.5 points.
Yeah, I guess we do. That also lends to the Bryce Young one before or next.
After, yeah.
Man,
all in on
I don't know how now that we're seeing this on paper, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, man, we got to stick to our guns. We got an opportunity.
Yeah. All right. This is interesting. CJ Stroud will throw at least one interception against the Jets. So is that a push if we agree and we just get one? I feel like that's a good agree right there. Just take on the road against the Jets defense, just take one interception and you win this.
It's funny, Geoff. I came into this thinking I was going to make a really big push for the Texans. And then as I was saying it, I was like, man, this does just feel a little bit strange. And Stroud has 5 picks over the entire season. He just hasn't had like a real clunker of a game since the Panthers game. This could be the spot outside off of a sort of a nice hot streak. This really could be the spot where you fade him. So I do like this one. I think that's a good way to sort of be contrarian.
Yeah. Going down here, Chiefs will cover the point against the Bills. We agree with that. Do you think Mahomes will have more passing yards than Josh Allen?
Feels like he probably won't. This feels like it's, I feel like the Chiefs' formula as the season goes on shifts more to the run, and the Bills are the opposite. The Bills love to sort of air it out, and Stephon Diggs has not had a big week in a while. There's one below it that says Diggs will have more receptions than Kelsey. I feel like this is the week where like Diggs, something's going on with Diggs and Josh Allen. Like this is the week where they have to look at each other and be like, hey, we have to win this game. And I think they're just going to feed Diggs all game. So I would say Allen has more passing yards, and the next one is Diggs will have more receptions than Kelsey. I would say I would be on the Bills side in each of those.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on those. The Chiefs will score more than 24.5 points at the Bills. I think the answer is yes. I would agree because the Bills, man, they can't stop anyone right now. It's not their fault per se, but they just have a bunch of injuries. And then the last one on here, Saquon Barkley will rush for 71.5 yards against the Packers. We're on Saquon Barkley unders, Matt, which are close to cashing. I would say I would go with a strong disagree here. What do you think?
I love it, man. Let's make sure that we lock in those unders. That's their only path to win. I don't know why the Giants would try to win this game if they were being honest with themselves. So yeah, I'm fine fading the Giants in all spots there. I do think the 6.5. I think you're right. The Packers. I don't think they're gonna. That is one of the options that the Packers will cover the 6.5 against the Giants. I feel like the Giants might end up covering, but still losing. This could be like a 14-10 kind of game. I feel like cold outside Monday night, no crowd. Like I feel like it's just going to be a low energy performance.
Oh, for sure. That's why I sort of liked the Giants, but not enough to really put it in this. All right, man. I think we've done our job here. We have made it through the week. We have 5. We got our vaulted pool done, and now we get to just watch some football. I'm looking forward to it.
I love it, Geoff. Have a great time in New York this weekend. Try to grab a slice of New York pizza at Penn Station. I saw your Instagram post yesterday with the Sbarro. That was great.
I was thinking Sbarro. Yeah, people were like, "What?" I'm like, "You don't get it. It's okay."
Yeah, that's right. What's up? Well, give me like one thing you're actually going to do. Like, is there a restaurant? Is there like a tourist thing you're going to do? Like, what's on the agenda?
So we're going to Bryant Park to ice skate on Friday night with the kids, and then we're seeing Lion King on Saturday. Where my daughter wants to go to Sephora and Zara. My son wants to go to the M&M museum or something like that, or some chocolate museum or something.
Times Square.
He's very sugar minded. We're staying at the Peninsula, so we're right by all the shopping that I hope to avoid my wife having to go there because it's 55 and 5th, and all the stores on Madison Avenue. So like I'm trying to avoid as much as possible to make that happen. They're all over there. They're all like Bergdorf is right there, and it's just going to be bad for your boy. But no, it's not that cold either. It's cold, but not like terribly cold in New York right now too. So not bad. I'm looking forward to them coming up. The deal was I get to do the Bear Bets podcast here in New York City every week. I'm flying Wednesday morning, fly out Thursday afternoon. And the trade-off is they come to New York for a weekend. I do not work. I'm not working Friday or Saturday. I do work Sunday morning, but they fly home Sunday. And that we do a New York weekend because my wife has taken the kids individually the last 2 years by themselves to New York City. So last year, I think she took Alex. The year before, she took Emmy. So like we're now doing this as a family. So hey, look, we're obviously Jewish. Happy Hanukkah, everyone, by the way. And happy Hanukkah, by the way. But like, there is something about like, the Christmas spirit here, right? Like everything's sort of all done up for Christmas and the holidays. And so it's just a lot of fun for the kids. They have a great time. I told my wife I got to clear the credit card before she comes up tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. We have a big purchase coming up though in a couple of weeks that I think we'll persuade her from spending a lot of money on bags. So we'll see.
What's that?
We'll see what happens. I'll tell you in a few. I'll offline it. I'll use a corporate term. We'll offline that one. We'll offline that one.
All right, cool. We'll ladder this one into an offline convo. Sounds good. Very mysterious.
How do you do the corporate jargon nonsense? How do you mentally get through that?
You should ask producer Nick, who's way better at it than I am. I tend to be more direct and talk like a person, and that works really well sometimes and works really poorly in others. So usually when it's like the kind of person who needs the jargon, I'm like, hey, meet Nick, and he's awesome at it. Yeah, that could be what it is. By the way, can we just talk briefly about Nick? Nick's the best. I got some texts from him last night that were super funny. I feel like Nick's just been hot. I want to give him a shout out on the heirs of Elon Musk here on X. Keep it up, Nick. You're doing great.
You cut out there for a second. Wait, he's mocking Elon, is what you said?
No, on Elon's platform, I'm giving him credit. It's as big of a platform as I get. But yeah, we just were looking at this stupid TikTok last night of two guys. I don't know their name, but they basically have like a UFC style commentary for glass bottles that are put in like an octagon and like put on string and like mash into each other. And then when one of them breaks, like a Johnny Walker one breaks, they're like, oh, like they like go crazy. We were like, man, maybe we should make a show with these guys. And we were just doing some good jokes about that. So I just wanted to give Nick a little love.
I like good jokes. You know, I can't be involved in some good. I like TikTok. I like good jokes.
Take it up with Gabe. He started it. Now. So all right. Well, we'll loop you in. I just want to make sure
I didn't know you guys do TikToks. I'll send you guys some TikToks I like every day. Big.
Fire.
It's a good way to. I don't know if I froze or what.
Oh, I froze. I don't know. We both froze. Maybe that's
now
just
we're just
getting that it's time to go.
It's time. We're done. All right. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Bye, everybody.